I feel like scum because I have announcements to make and I'm going to make them today. I have dedicated the last 2 episodes to everything going on, and oh God, I hope things get better. And I don't mean that the protests stop, I mean that they work. But I have to carry on like the rest of us. And so I have some announcements about what's going on with my projects. And I would like to talk to you about them today on this episode of Project Shadow.
Can you hear me? I have something to say.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I hope you are doing well. I hope you are safe. I hope that wherever you are, you're starting to see some modicum of justice come into your world, because everything seems a little dark right now. But that is how it is, and hopefully we will change it. No, we will change it. It's a matter of the time scale until we get there. So this was originally planned to be my Wednesday episode of the show, and yeah, I just couldn't with everything, and I still feel bad about doing it today, but I look, everyone, I don't make a lot of money doing the things that I do, and I've been, I think, fairly open and honest with that. And before everything happened, before our so-called leadership proved themselves to be the people we were afraid and concerned and saying that they looked like they were, I had spent money that I didn't really have to push forward on certain projects, and they're time stamped. So I have to push forward. So, especially because I don't know what's going on with ad revenue right now. It says the ad is running. I don't know if you all are hearing it or not, but the ad revenue has not been showing up on my account. So I don't know what's going on with me financially right now. And I'm a little freaked out about all that because I just, like I said, made some sizable purchases to get ready for the future. So, yeah. Okay, so what's going on, you might wonder? Well, I have recently revamped the Patreon for everything that I do that you can find at patreon.com/CEDorset. You can find a link to that in the description for this episode. And it's the same 3 tiers as before, but more. I've added stuff to it, and because I'm working with World Anvil now to do a lot of things, I say working with, I'm paying for a World Anvil account. I don't want this to sound like I'm shilling for them. They are not supporting my work. Though Janet and the rest of you, if you ever wanted to, I would love that. But yeah, so I just spent money on some software and for upgrading the World Anvil accounts so that I would be able to offer patron exclusive content there. And then the world really did continue to fall apart. So I wanted this to be a much more triumphant, like, hurrah episode, but it is what it is. So what happened? For those of you who have been listening to this podcast for some time, you know that I love world building. I've been writing for quite a long time. Now, not everything is up over on World Anvil right now, and I am doing my best to work on that and to build it out. Most of what's going to be going over there is going to be public. So if you don't have any money, don't worry about it. It's going to be up there for you to see no matter what. A lot of the basic articles about the world's history and all that. But the idea going forward is that once I get them all transcribed over there, every one of my books is going to be available over on World Anvil for people to read, for my patrons to read. I debated for a long time about this, and I really do. I want to give them away. I really do, but I need to make money off of what I'm doing. So the books are going to be for patrons only, which they've always been. I've always given the books away to new patrons. But they're going to be available over on World Anvil. You're also going to have access to other story details and more information. For example, the story I'm working on right now, if you are at the $2 or above level where you get deleted scenes, I'm going to be putting up the zero draft of my current work and some of my other work that's in kind of zero draft. That it's rough, it's not easy to read, but it will allow you all to see it and make comments on, because honestly, the current project I was writing to see if there was something that was there. I did find that there is something there. I'm going to be going back and doing a lot of heavy rewriting for it. And so patrons who want to see those behind the scenes elements will get to see more of that. And patrons at the $5 a month level will be offered polls and whatnot to help me to actually have a voice in how the worlds are developing, and as well as this podcast, how it's developing as well, topics that should be covered, and what have you. So that is what I'm doing. And it's really frightening for me because, for my entire life, the idea of how do you make money as a writer was that you write a book, you sell the book, and based on how well the book sells, you make a living. I actually like telling all of these little side stories and short stories and whatnot, that there isn't an easy market for that. And so a big part of this project for me is to try and work it all out in such a way that it allows me to share much more regularly with you all, and many more stories than I ever would have been able to do just writing novels. And to build these worlds out and to have fun with them and to make them everything that they could possibly be. And I hope that you like the work that I'm doing. I hope that you like what's going on. Like I said, there's not a huge amount over there. I've been trying to build it up. And one of the things that was holding me back is I've been debating about pulling this and doing doing the project this way. And so I debated for a very long time over what would be for patrons only and what would be public. And like I said, for the most part, what I've come down to is a lot of the short stories, the flash fiction, and the novels, and the novellas, and the novelettes. Those are going to be for patrons, and everything else is going to be publicly accessible. Now, don't worry if you've previously gotten my work via Amazon or any of the others. I'm still going to be putting out collections and whatnot in those formats. It's just patrons are going to get everything first, and they're going to have access to everything. And this is pretty much how I'm doing it. If you don't have money to be a patron, there will be a few alpha and beta reader passes that I will be giving to select people. That's not something I'm letting people really apply for, but There are some people that do help read for me and make my work better, and I'm going to be giving them special alpha and beta reader passes so that they can see all of this stuff in alpha and beta states and help make the work better. So if that's something that you have done for me in the past, don't worry. I'm not saying that you have to give me money to be an alpha or a beta reader. I'm just saying if you want all of that behind the scenes stuff and everything, as quickly as possible, Patreon is the way to go. Because I would never charge somebody to be a beta reader. That's crazy. I'm trying to think of this as how would I do this if, say, if Frank Herbert or Anne McCaffrey or any of the writers that I was obsessed with and really, really liked, and I don't have a lot of those writers anymore, and that's more on me than anything else because it's been hard for me to get reading done. Probably N.K. Jemisin. I would probably pay to do this for N.K. Jemisin right now. But at any rate, if any of the writers that I truly love to read had set up something like this, what would I want from it and what would I be willing to pay? Now, over time, this is going to get better. They're adding a lot of new community features over on Patreon, so those community features will start opening up as they become available, and we'll really be able to make vibrant communities around these worlds, and that's my hope. That's what I want to do. This is one of those things that makes me one of the worst salesmen on the face of the planet, is anytime I talk about myself, I'm overly apologetic, and especially right now with everything going on, it feels really bizarre to be talking about my own work, but like I said, I have to find ways to pay the bills. So it's like exacerbating that part of me that just doesn't like talking about myself and making it all so much more. So I'm going to be putting a lot over there, and it's going to be coming in phases and it's going to be coming in waves. So right now I'm doing most of my work in the Dragons of Night setting because that's the story that's really been working for me. You can find links to all of this in the show notes, as well as over at projectshadow.com. You'll find links to each one of these, the worlds at the top of the page. And like I said, the majority of the content that is over there will be free because I just want to get these stories out. I want to get these stories written. I really want to spend time doing this. And that more than anything is what is going on. I feel trapped in this mold of being a novelist because a lot of the stories that I have in my head are little short stories, they're little vignettes, they're little slices of life, little bits of history, world building, things of that nature, and trying to force all of that into the mold of writing novels has always been difficult for me. And I've tried over the years several different techniques and methods to make it work. I've built elaborate websites trying to make this work. I've done a lot of different things trying to make it work over the years, and it's never quite played out the way that I wanted it to. And that to me is the really exciting bit with this path in front of me. I'm really excited about everything that's going on, especially with the Dragons of Night setting right now, because it really does speak to me and I feel connected to it in a very palpable way right now. And so that's this allows me to go in and tell those stories in all the different ways that I want to tell those stories and make it work and make it available in a way that it's not all sitting in my Scrivener files. And that's also been a big part of the problem here is I have these gigantic Scrivener files that are just filled with backstory and all these little things that I've had to start translating into human readable text. And that process has been very rewarding. And I'm in love with it. And that is the most important thing for a creative. You have to love what you're doing. And, as Joseph Campbell said, if you feel that the path is clear before you, then you're following somebody else's path, not your own. I feel like this is the moment where I am really, truly, and honestly stepping out into doing my own thing, doing my own path, because I am terrified right now. Because I don't know how many people will care. I don't know how many people will want to do this. But like Elizabeth Gilbert says, you don't care. You just don't care. Write like nobody's going to read it. Write like everyone's going to hate it. Just write for you. Write good work. And that's in her wonderful book, Big Magic. If you haven't read it and you're a creative person, you should definitely read it. It's a brilliant, brilliant book that has helped me out a lot. But yeah, I'm excited about this. So what kind of stuff are you going to be seeing over there? Like I said, there are going to be histories, timelines. If I can get my act together and start doing maps more, there will be a lot of maps. I have a lot of maps that I want to get made. The problem is a while back, sunk money into an app called Wonderdraft, which I absolutely love. It has been making my Mac run hot lately, and so I have not been able to run it. So I'm looking at Worldographer. I have a copy of that they don't make it makes more game style maps and less really pretty maps, but that's an option. I wanted to buy Project Dios, but with the financial situation that I'm in right now, that was going to be part of the big purchase, and I feel lucky that I didn't put the money in on that right now, because it doesn't look like I'm going to have the money for that. But I am planning on doing more maps. I am hoping to do more artwork. We'll see how that pans out, because to me the text is the most important thing, because I am primarily a writer, but all of that needs a home, and it now has it over at World Anvil. So I feel like I'm finally starting my career my way. And this is part of those, like, I've been talking about I'm doing these secret projects, and that's been partially this move over to operating the business out of World Anvil. And that's also been partially this new Dragons of Night story that I'm working on. And I can't wait to see how it all works and how it all plays out and where we can take this together. I do not expect it to be an overnight success, because that never happens. All overnight successes are years and years in the making, and then spontaneously spring fully formed into the public attention. So the public thinks that they happened overnight, when there are years and years and years of work behind them. And I'm ready for that. I think with everything going on right now, having something for me to focus on is the best thing that I can do for my own mental health and for my contribution to this change. Because I think the messages in my fiction support the movement, and the more people I can get to subscribe to them, the better. Though I'm not writing to change people's minds. If that happens, that's wonderful. But I'm not writing conversion texts. That's not a thing I'm doing. But I am really excited about this. I know I don't sound like it, and a lot of that has to do with, the state of the world right now, and feeling really guilty announcing a new massive project like this in the middle of all this. But, this is a project that's kind of on a timer right now, because I have 6 months, because I paid for 6 months. And if by the end of the 6 months I don't have money to renew, I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. Like, that's kind of the catch-22 that I'm up against right now, is this was an easy thought because, I don't like talking about money too much, but I was making enough with the podcast that in a little over a month, I was making with the podcast what it would take to support this writing project for 6 months. And spontaneously, as of the first, the money for this podcast stopped. At least the ad revenue stopped. And I don't know what's going on with that. I'm hoping it's a glitch. That's happened before, where there was a glitch in the system and it just showed up one day, because you can check regularly to see how you're doing. And it's right on the same dashboard where you see how many people are listening. And yeah. But as you know, I try to be open. I try to be honest with you all and let you know what's going on with my life and with my work. And that's where I'm at right now. So thank you all so much for everything that you do. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you'd like to hear discussed on the show, as always, down in the show notes, you'll find a link to the voice message system. Keep it short, keep it clean so I can use it on the show. I would love to hear from you. If you do have a buck you can pass my way, down in the show notes, you'll find a link to both listener support and my Patreon. Listener support is just that. It's listener support. You pay, I think it's $1, $5, or $10, and you support the show. And as a thank you, you get the show, because they don't let me actually offer anything. I don't even get to see your names. But the Patreon link, you'll see the 3 tiers that I have set up over there: the community member, the world builders, and the inner circle. And each has its own perks and whatnot. So if you do have money and you would like to help further my goals, thank you so very much. And you'll find a link to that in the show notes. By the way, it's patreon.com/CEDorset if you just want to hear it out loud. Thank you to everyone who does that. It means it literally means the world to me right now. If you don't have any money right now, or you don't feel like giving, please do not take my current situation as guilt. We all are going through things right now. We're all having problems right now. So don't do anything you can't afford to do. But do share the podcast and share the work that I'm doing. That really does help, because especially right now, I don't have money to run ads anymore. So I'm not going to be able to put the word out as easily myself. So thank you for that. If you listen to the show on Spotify actually has a really cool widget that if you go to share on your Instagram story or your Facebook story or your Snapchat story, the podcast is actually playable from that. So if you really like this, you could do that and actually really help out a lot. So that's really cool. Thank you all so much for everything. I mean, I've been doing this for years now, and I wouldn't be able to do any of it without you. So thank you so very, very much. I guess that's it for today. Until next time, stay well, stay safe, and don't forget to have the fun. Bye.